and welcome to this very special episode of Shifting Gears, a show where we put the spotlight on the automotive sector. And today we are going to talk to a company that breaks its own benchmarks that it sets out. Yes, I'm talking about Royal Enfield, Eicher Motors here. Siddharth Lal is with us to talk about the wonderful performance the company has seen in the first quarter. Siddharth, quarter after quarter, year after year, you're just, doing it better. How do you manage it?
I have no idea. Well, it's actually stuff that it's not a quarter issue actually. I mean, what you're seeing right now is in the quarter, but the work is what we've put in over the last decade or two and the last 10 years. And this is when it comes about. So all the work we've been doing on new plants, I mean, we thought of this many years ago and now it's here and it's producing lovely motorcycles. We thought of the Himalayan, which is there many years ago, and now it's here and it's selling new motorcycles. So yeah, it's all the work that we've done in the past that continues to benefit us. As immediately what's happening is that because we've got such a strong franchise of Royal Enfield, particularly classic, that's the motorcycle there which you're seeing being produced in numbers all across the board here. But all of our motorcycles, because of strong franchise that we have and the strong brand equity that it has, we're able to expand out of the big cities. So earlier for the last 10 years, our focus was just to become relevant in big cities.
Right.
And now that we are relevant, I believe, in larger cities, the smaller towns are demanding our products. And we are able to go, so we're adding more than 2 dealers every week in small towns. And that's where the expansion is coming from. We're adding.
Sure. Yeah. But as you said, that you never, you of course worked many years ago about how you envisaged or saw this coming, thought ahead of times then, and it's all now coming true. I mean, you have this facility where the waiting period is still much more than one had thought.
Yeah.
How are you working around reducing that? Because that becomes a perennial problem.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem. There's a bit of push and pull. From a peak of 11 months waiting, we're down to 3 months or even less for some models. And it's coming down because at the end, you will never be capacity constrained. That's only a temporary phenomena. Okay, it's been with us for 6 years, but maybe a year or 2 more. But it's not a forever phenomena, right? Because capacity can always be reached. But our focus, whether it's in India or now in international markets, is always brand first. Build a brand and the rest will follow. So, I mean, the worst thing to have is a plant with lots of capacity but no one wanting a motorcycle, right? We don't want to be in that position. So we want to continue to build a brand. So all the work that we do, my time, my effort, of course, a lot of our organizational effort and mind space goes in how to build the brand, how to build beautiful new products, how to do amazing things with Royal Enfield. Then, of course, we have a very strong engineering manufacturing team which builds the plants and does all of this. But that's not our obsession. Our obsession is actually is the Himalayan there, and it's just to build beautiful motorcycles. Our retail is our obsession. We've been working tremendously on improving our entire retail infrastructure, retail identity, our stores. Our salespeople tell us, and salespeople are notoriously unforgiving for these things, but they say that our new stores that we build, I don't know if you've seen any of them, we're getting more walk-ins, more inquiries, more conversions just because people come in and they look at the store and they're like, oh my God, is this what Royal Enfield is about? And that's beautiful. And that's only the store infrastructure. Now we're working on improving the entire experience in the store. So that means, today the phenomena when you go into a motorcycle store or into, I don't know, a white goods store is basically the salesperson hands you a price list. He says, here's your price list and jo aapko chahiye, le lo, that kind of stuff. What we're doing is we're getting into a zone where you can talk motorcycles. So we're hiring people differently, we're training people differently. So an analogy from another industry, if you go to a decathlon store in India, the guy knows everything about sports. He's a sporty fellow. He understands sports. We want to do that. We want people to come in and not have a hard sell environment where you just come with the price list. We want people to imbibe and love, and that's what we're about, and that's what we're...
I want to talk some numbers here, and I mean, we all talk about it all the time. Your own patch for motorcycles up 60, 70 odd percent. Your profit has been similar numbers that we've seen growing over last year. How has Himalayan played a role in the first quarter in terms of your overall?
Oh, Himalayan hasn't played a tremendous role in our first quarter. It's taken a lot of our time and energy and probably a bit of spend on marketing and all of that. But it's not yet paid back. It's still a young child of ours. You know, it's when you're a toddler, you don't expect it to do all the housework yet. So it's really, that's the stage that Himalayan's at. It's nascent. It's doing really well. We've, as of maybe today, it's nearly as of now only that it's actually available across the country. Earlier it was only available in a few stores.
Yeah,
so we've been, as you can see, we've been going hammer and tongs producing more motorcycles. But production is not that easy. It's not our production, it's our supply chain. It's a new engine, it's a new chassis, it's all new parts. So your suppliers have to ramp up. So all of that's been happening over the last many months, since March when we launched it.
But there were some issues that people faced, and there was a recall that was done. I mean, we know personally a few friends who talked about the fact that they faced some problems while riding it, the tank would heat up, etc.
So, you know, that's, I think that's the new Royal Enfield, which is that firstly, it's a product update that we did. And the product update, or let's say what happens is that any product, new or existing, but certainly new, has the potential to have certain issues. It's a mechanical product. Every product in the world potentially has some issues. Then what we've been able to do is actually track that very closely, understand what the issues are. None of them are safety issues. That's why it's not a recall at all. There's no safety issue whatsoever. These are all, let's say, much lower level issues. And what we've done is that we've accounted for exactly how many. And typically out of the, when we were talking about this product update, it was around 2,000 motorcycles in the field. Typically, whatever issue there was a clutch issue, that was maybe 15 out of the 2,000 motorcycles out there. So that's the perspective. We had some issue, I think, I don't know if it was a mirror issue, but it was the sari guard issue, cracking. That was also 25 cracking sari guards, right? It's not the end of the world. We don't want that to happen, but it's not the end of the world either. In the sense, it's not a debilitating issue. So what we've been able to do is, the new Royal Enfield means that we understand, evaluate, get solutions for, implement in the market even before the chap comes in for first service. Because we want to be that proactive company that people have, let's say, given us you know, their money and their trust and bought a Himalayan. We want to make sure that we support them immediately and without any borders whatsoever.
So now all the issues have been resolved?
Absolutely perfect. It's been resolved in the field, resolved on the motorcycles. There's still a few motorcycles out there where we haven't seen the sari guard, for example, because we've not found the customer.
But you are in the process?
We're absolutely in the process, and problems are solved. We talk to our customers, we track them if they have any other issues. We're a proactive company now.
You've been spending a lot of time in London. I mean, we get to see very little of you. Numbers and results are times when we get to talk to you. How is it going there? I remember having a long conversation just before you were leaving for London. It's been a year plus now. How have things been, and have you been able to do what you thought you will do?
Absolutely. It's been wonderful. I've had a great year in London. At the first level, I've been able to pull out a bit, and we're at a transition phase. So we're going from being a strong India brand. Over the next 10 years, we want to become a global brand. And it's not going to happen on its own. It's going to happen through a very, very concerted effort. From let's say, a marginally, or let's say, profitable company, we become, let's say, an extremely profitable company. None of that happens on its own. It happens only out of, let's say, out of, you know, particular focus effort. So right now, on the one hand, I've taken a step back, largely to just visualize and see what the larger picture is going to be. How are we going to play it out?
So give us a sense about the larger picture. What is it that you're looking at? I understand, obviously, as you said, you want to be a global brand. You want to be present in many countries, and the brand value that it has in India should be reflected even overseas. We do see your brand in some markets.
Absolutely, but the kernel of truth that we've come out with is that you can't force the issue. To be a global brand, you can't just say, okay, well, now I'm a global brand and
this is how it is.
This is how it is. You have to learn, you have to understand, you have to be giving, and you have to adapt yourself, and there's so many things you have to do. So when we go to a new market, it's not, you know, that old high-handed way of going and saying, look, I'm putting up this, look, think about this. Massive factory in, you know, Latin America or Southeast Asia, and I'm going to have massive this and massive that, and then I'll have a massive distribution. And guess what? I'm just going to be straddled with lots of losses for the longest time. So we're like, no, that's not our approach. Our approach is, it's frustrating for the outside sometimes, frustrating for us also sometimes, but it's a slow and steady approach. But it's all about establishing the brand first. Like we did in India, we established the brand. They also want to establish the brand first in any market. We've gone to Bangkok, Jakarta, Manila recently. We were in Colombia and 4 different cities, 5 cities. The point is to establish our brand, is to get the right consumers, to understand what they like, what they don't like, to get them familiar with an alien style of motorcycling. They're used to a Japanese style of motorcycling.
That's true.
They're not used to a classic British middleweight motorcycle, which is lazier and more beautiful and entertaining in a different way than, you know, it's not that kind of motorcycle. So we want them to know what it's about before they jump into it. We want to build an ecosystem around it. We want to build an experience.
Sure.
And once that happens, it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Fair enough. So you're not in a rush, clearly, but there would be some timelines that you've set out and some markets that you've identified. You mentioned a few that you've entered already.
Yeah.
What are these these markets that are going to be bigger for you eventually? I mean, internationally and globally, where will you be over the next, let's say, 3-4 years?
So our ambition is over a 10-year time frame right now, because we know it takes some time and it's going to take some hits and some misses and some learnings. Not very dissimilar to our India story. I mean, it took us 10 years to get the type of traction and growth that we did in India. Hopefully, because we've got muscle and scale and a bit of cash to use and better product development capability, hopefully that decade will maybe be 7-8 years, but it's not going to be 2 years, right, for us to become a really relevant global player. So the markets, on the one hand, we have our heritage markets like UK, US, Europe, Japan, Australia. We continue to sell there. We have a North America operation which is really strong. But those markets, in the larger scheme of things, will always be the aspirational markets in some sense for us, and markets where it's very important for us to be there as a brand. But the bigger volumes, we believe, and our first priority markets are some markets in Latin America and some markets in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Because those are markets we feel that where there's a large commuter base of Indo-Japanese style motorcycles, where there is not enough beautiful middleweight motorcycles like the Himalayan or the classic
there. Potential there.
Absolute huge potential. After the middleweights, after the small motorcycles, they have these big, heavy, you know, sport motorcycles or cruisers, but they're all really big, really heavy, really expensive, and they don't fit the upgrading audience.
Those are some of the...
Absolutely. Latin America, Southeast Asia, that's our future.
Coming back to the investments and, you know, that you've announced already, about 600 odd crores last year. This year again you announced...
It was 500 last year, 600 this year, in that order. That's the sort of order we keep.
That's the kind of order you keep. Even in the new facility, and this includes your marketing spends as well? I mean, all of it put together?
Only capital expenditure.
So I want to know, how much are you actually going to be spending as capex and overall expenditure?
So look, our capex plan for this year is 600 crores. That includes the big ticket items is Vallam Vadagal, which is our new plant which is coming up. So even while this is ramping up, our new plant is now underway, which will give us a capacity of around 900,000 or 9 lakhs in FY19, so 2018-19. So that's one big cost. The other two big costs are our investments in our UK Tech Center and Chennai Tech Center. So these are all the big infrastructural costs, and we're doing absolutely state-of-the-art, beautiful facilities, with everything that you require to build a Bharat Stage 6 motorcycle. You know, like high emission performance motorcycle. So that's the big cost. Then there's product development. That's the other one. So that was the facilities of product development. Then the new motorcycle. New motorcycle cost money. New engine development. New motorcycle
all
development.
All of it put together is how much?
All of the capital expenditure put together is 600 crores for this financial year, 2016-17. In addition to that, obviously, we have revenue expenditure, which comes in our expenses line. Our fixed cost as a percentage of our sales is in the order of 10%, which is a very healthy number for a company with 40% gross margins, right? So where it boils down to then is that like this quarter which passed, we had a revenue in the order of 1,500 plus crores for Royal Enfield alone. 10% of that is 150 crores a quarter. Currently is our burn rate for employee costs, overhead, marketing costs, all other fixed costs put together is in the order of 150 crores, which incidentally also adds up to around 600 plus crores for the year.
I'll also talk about the commercial vehicle business, and because the numbers there also look pretty decent and good. You've grown overall. What's your own outlook there? I can see that most of your time goes here in this. This is something that you obviously are passionate about. But what about your commercial vehicle business?
Passionate, yes, but it's also my day job. I'm the CEO of this business. I'm not the CEO of the truck company. When I was the CEO of the truck company from 2008 to 2010, directly, I was spending 90% of my time there.
Sure.
So, and not here. So, but now the tables have turned. Trucks are doing really well. There is a lot of competitive pressure. Discounts are very large, so that's continuing to sort of not allow us to go to double digits EBITDA margins. So we're still stuck at 9%, which is great. It's not a bad number, but it's not where we want to be. But having said that, we're delighted with our performance on market share growth. So our ambition, and I'm deeply passionate about that as well, our ambition for over a decade since we've entered heavy-duty market has been to get to a consistent 1,000 heavy-duty trucks a month. Last quarter, we sold 3,200 plus heavy-duty trucks, which means we've crossed 1,000 heavy-duty trucks a month, which is phenomenal. We all know that that's the point at which everything changes for us. We've grown from 3.9% same quarter last year to 6.1% market share. It's a great growth in heavy-duty I'm talking about.
LCVs?
Light and medium duty, we're at 34% market share from 32 same quarter last year. But the bigger story is that when we started the joint venture 8-9 years ago with Volvo, we were 25% market share. The biggest competitor in the market was 50% market share. There was a 25% gap in market share. Now the gap of market share is 6% between us and the biggest guy. From 25% gap to 6% gap. That's the way Eicher brand has become so strong in light and medium duty, and we're trying to replicate that, of course, in heavy duty as well.
Sure. So there you are happy with the way it's performed, and the outlook looks good for the business and the sector?
Yeah, the sector is a cyclical sector. It has its own sort of rhythm, and it's, like I said, currently there's a lot of discount pressure, so that's not allowing us to grow our EBITDA margin. But basically, all the foundations we've been putting in.
What's your target for EBITDA margin in this business? At least.
Again, we don't have a outward, forward-looking target, but as of now, I'd prefer to be in double digits, for example. We're at 9%. So it's not very far, but it's certainly within our realm that we can get there. Yeah.
What about the launches? We've seen Himalayan, of course, as you said, it's a pretty new baby in the that we see. It's been launched. You're already obviously always working on newer models. What is the next big model that you see?
That I can't tell
Give us a timeline. If not the product, give us at least some sneak peek into what's coming.
We said we'll have. In fact, what we said last time is that we'll have one product this year, one product next year, in the order of that. Now, I can't define exactly because, these things sort of take some time to come out once in a while. You've got to nurture products even when they're in development phase. But yeah, in the order of, somewhere next year, I'm sure we'll get something.
No, fair enough. I know there will be one coming, but what is it going to be like? How will you define it? How will it be different than what you already have? At least some sneak peek into it.
Everything we do is going to be middleweight, 250 to 750. So we have a 350, 500, and now we have the middle ground of 400cc, 411cc as it were, Himalayan. We have so yeah, we will span that entire spectrum of 250 to 750 middleweights. The objective is that any motorcycle that we eventually bring in the market will have to have its base in India. Base as in sales base. So it will be selling well in India, otherwise we will not enter a segment which won't have a traction in India, in our opinion, because while we will be more and more making motorcycles, which will be increasingly more relevant, and therefore I would say slightly higher on the power scale, as it were, not extreme power at all, but more than maybe the ones that we do today, from an international market perspective, where generally there's bigger motorcycle sales.
Yeah.
Having said that, we're never going to stray too far where it goes beyond the realm of what Indian motorcyclists will want.
Fair enough. Can we then deduce that it's a 250cc that could be in the offing soon in India? Because that's another big market that's emerging, and you'll then compete directly, you already are to a great extent, with the others, the big players, the big volume guys. I know you're never behind volumes, but will that give you that edge?
I can't tell you which product we're developing and when it's going to be. I can't tell you exactly which CC and all that, so can't help you there.
Okay.
But also having said that, we're not, our approach will never be to fight said product of competition with a similar said product. That's not who we are, and we will never do what.
Me too.
Never. So that I can assure you. What comes out of it, we don't know. We can't tell you right now, but yeah, that I can't.
Do you intend to list Royal Enfield separately at some point? I mean, given the...
Royal Enfield is a listed company. Eicher Motors is Royal Enfield, is Eicher Motors.
That's true.
If I change the name of Eicher Motors to Royal Enfield, would you ask me if I want to list Royal Enfield?
No.
That's the thing.
Okay.
So it is, Royal Enfield is a listed company. It's
so
Eicher
what
Motors.
you're saying is Eicher Motors is Royal Enfield.
That's what it is.
And what about the truck business? I want to know,
Truck
because it's
business,
two-wheeler.
Truck business is, in fact, even now according to the new accounting standards, we don't even consolidate the top line. Truck business is a shareholding. It's a strategic shareholding. We have a 54.4% share in the JV, but it's not, but it's a separate company, which is a joint venture. The only thing which Eicher Motors houses is Royal Enfield.
So do you intend to change that name just to avoid all this confusion?
No. There's no need to avoid confusion.
No, because then it's like...
What's the confusion? I mean, I don't think the stock market is confused. The investors are not confused.
But Eicher, because they believe that Eicher Motors also has the two-wheeler, has the truck business.
It does, but that's a joint venture. It's not within the company.
But it's Royal Enfield is
we don't worry too much about semantics. That's all.
Okay. A quick question towards the end, because we are talking of the two-wheeler market in India and the way it's grown and the way the competition has come. All big manufacturers are here almost, and we are seeing a good traction. There's a lot of acceptance from consumers to buying these bigger heavyweight, bikes. 250 to 650s. That segment is grown quite well.
That's grown entirely because of us.
All right. So
we have 97+% market share in 250 to 750. So yeah, the market's grown, but you know who's grown it. Yeah.
Largely grown by it. But how do you see this trend panning out and helping your company over the next few years?
So certainly with our success over the last 5-6 years, I'm sure there'll be many other manufacturers coming into this segment, and for us, when you're 97% share, there is no opportunity to grow market share, right? To 98, for example. It doesn't help either. So the opportunity is to grow the market size.
Correct.
And for us, that's what we're after. And if other people come and help grow the market size, that's beneficial for us. We're okay with that. Because at the end of if the market size grows, if the general din of motorcycle talk in India moves from 100, 150cc to mid-size motorcycles, guess what? We are the definitive brand in that middleweight market, and we're going to...
Can you see India moving?
It will.
Eventually.
You've already seen it, and it's grown. It's happened in cars. It's happened in all sorts of segments. Phones, I imagine it's happened. I don't know phones well, but it happens everywhere. There's a big base of, let's say, price-sensitive market, which is your 100cc. Then you have one step up, which is the 150, 200cc, and then you have a big step up, which is us. So
All
the
right.
third step, I think, or something like that.
All right. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thanks a lot,
Great to
Swati.
speak to you always, and all the best. Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks.